What are some very creepy facts? Hi Reddit guys, subscribe now, or I will leak your secrets. Elmer McCurdy was a failed Old West outlaw. His preserved body was put on display in a traveling carnival, and years later he was eventually assumed to be a mannequin until he was used on set for the TV show The $6 Million Man. His arm accidentally fell off during the shoot, revealing bone and muscle and that he was a corpse, not a mannequin. One reason that crows and ravens are associated with death is because they would often follow armies as they marched to battle. Being both carrion birds and extremely intelligent, they realized that a large group of armed men marching on one direction meant that there would be a tasty meal of corpses to eat soon afterwards. That's actually pretty neat. I'd like to subscribe to Crow Facts, thanks. Crocodiles can gallop like a horse. I don't like knowing this, so I am cursing you people with this knowledge as well. Fortunately alligators cannot. So that's how you tell them apart. Yeah, but now I'm confused how to tell a horse and crocodile apart. Imagine being totally aware of someone performing CPR, but you physically can't move or respond. Well, that's what happens when you get bitten by a blue-ringed octopus. You have approx 6 minutes between being bitten and someone starting CPR to keep your heart and lungs functioning to ensure you survive, all whilst being totally aware of what is happening to you. Neurotoxins are fun. The really creepy thing about this is one story of a guy who got stung, got CPR performed on him and survived, but went blind because he was lying on his back, eyes open, unable to blink because of the paralysis, staring into the sun. Imagine lying there, unable to move, unable to communicate, the sun slowly burning out your eyes and you can't shut them. Imagine lying there, unable to move, unable to communicate, the sun slowly burning out your eyes and you can't shut them. No, I don't think I will. Most people smell different when they're awake. That's my favorite thing to whisper. Female mummies in ancient Egypt were always more decomposed than their male counterparts. They discovered that this was because male bodies were embalmed a lot sooner than female bodies. Female bodies were kept at the family home until they started to decompose in order to avoid necrophilia at the embalmers. Is she ready to go to the embalmers? No, she's still pretty exy. There are upwards of 300 active serial killers in the world. Seems low honestly. 300 is a lot, but out of 8 billion? Famous last words though. Known to be active. Think about how many people go missing and are never found. The part that's insane to me is that people like BTK and Willie Picton were caught post 2000, but were active for a long time decades prior. To me that means there have to be some people out there today that have a high body count and haven't been caught yet. A single tiger has killed over 436 people in India. There's a parasite that enters a fish's mouth, eats the tongue and replaces itself as the fish's new tongue. As a fish, there isn't a cure and it sucks. I keep saying stuff I don't mean to say. Like talking head. Hearing is the last thing to go after you die. You just might hear the paramedics and firefighters call off CPR. You know, that's actually kinda nice. You know that if ever you have someone dying in your arms, they are hearing you as they die. You know comforting them is working. Unless they have hearing damage. Man, that sucks. You might know that you are too far gone, and that you will die. Well, if hearing is the last thing to go, your brain probably isn't doing much thinking about anything at that point. God, I think this is the worst one so far. Mount Everest is covered in frozen corpses, because removing them is very unsafe and time consuming. They are easily viewed from the climbing routes and some are used as trail markers. What's odd is that although the bodies are prominent, in some cases there is no consensus on their identity. Like over the years 2 different people with a similar description didn't return from their Everest climb, and we know the body is probably one of them, but not sure which. Or is it more creepy that some of the bodies are indeed identified, and somewhere out there is a family who knows full well that their loved one's remains are a landmark on the world's most famous mountain? There have been rare occasions where the family pays to have the body brought down, but it's incredibly expensive, tens of thousands of dollars, and extremely dangerous, and so it's rarely been done. But how much would it cost if I want my body brought up to my Everest to be a trail marker? Discluding incurred travel costs, most guides charge around $40k. But you could always just try to go up yourself for free. You'll just be a really low marker. After getting stung by a cone snail, you don't feel the sting for a little bit. There is no antivenin and it can be lethal. Treatment is basically keeping the victim alive until the venom wears off. Cone snails are pretty freaky. Some of the most deadly ones can kill you in 30 minutes or less after they sting you. Their shells are super pretty too, so any beachcomber should be aware of these creatures and know how to pick up a shell carefully just in case someone might still be inside. Today I learned there are killer snails. Human brains when they dry out smell like cat piss. That stinky ammonia smell. Worked in an ER for 17 years and CT. Had a gunshot to the head come in, and a chunk fell onto my shoe and didn't notice. While driving home was like, what the frick, did my cat piss in the car or something? Went to take my shoes off and there is was. Edit for all you people with morbid curiosity. Fresh brains look like cream cheese mixed with strawberry jam. Edit 2. No, they died. Trans life harvested organs. Hey buddy, I think you stepped in some brain matter. I once knelt next to the interstate looking into a guy's open skull for 45 minutes waiting for an ambulance to show up. I didn't notice a smell. His teeth scattered around my knees were what really stuck with me. I dreamed I was wading through teeth for months. I surprisingly have very little medical dreams. One of the first year residents said they had a dream they were chewing gum during surgery, then it dropped out their mouth and they couldn't find it and thought it dropped into the abdomen cavity. People don't take their anti-malarial drugs when they travel, because they hear bad stories about the side effects and they see native people in the areas living okay without taking pills every day. The truth is, populations native to malaria endemic areas have all passed through pretty intense natural selection for survival and have a host of genes that prevent them from dying or suffering the other worst effects. Also, most of the resistance is built up over time. This is why it's most common for children to die rather than adults. Whatever people have heard about the side effects of the antimalarials, getting it is so much worse. I, fortunately, have never had it, but I study it as part of my work and people have told me about having it and they all say the same thing. It is so awful you can't believe you're even still alive. It comes in cycles, usually 48 hours, and each cycle is agonizing and brings you the brink of death. Sometimes it takes you, sometimes it spares you for another few hours until it starts again. And there are forms that, even if you clear the infection with drugs, it still remains dormant in your system and can come back at any time. We lost our anti-malarial drugs for a period of 2 weeks when we visited India about 20 years ago. I was hospitalized with malaria 9 months after we came back. A black mamba is the fastest snake which can slither at a speed of 12.5 miles an hour, 20 km/h. They have neurotoxins which are fast acting. The venom shuts down the nervous system and paralyzes the victim. Its venom is able to kill 10 people and it repeatedly bites. To add on to this, there is an almost 100% kill rate and can kill in 20 minutes. When I went on a safari, the guide had no problem driving by the family of lions, cougars, crazy hippos, everything else we saw. However, when he spotted a black mamba, this incredible fear came over his face. The snake was right in the middle of the dirt road and he wouldn't even drive past it. We were in one of those open Jeep safari things. The guide was so frightened that he just zoomed in reverse and got away so quickly. He said they can jump up in the car and do all kinds of crazy things. I don't know if that's true, but I know that he was genuinely afraid and we got out of that area so fast. Men who are hanged get a death erection, known as rigor erectus. Pretty awkward for the family, I assume. This is the one time I'd advocate using hung instead of hanged. They said you were hung, and they were right. If you begin to display symptoms of rabies, you will go crazy and die. There's no cure. Your brain will slowly melt until you're dead. The second you get bitten by anything, you should literally speed to the hospital. Serial killer Richard Chase took any unlocked door as an invitation to come inside. If I recall correctly, he thought he was a vampire. This is also not the worst fact about this case. He was severely mentally ill and thought he didn't have enough blood. His solution was to drink blood. So didn't quite think he was a vampire, but close enough. Ugh. My mum never locks her door and she leaves alone. Way back in the woods. Sometimes an Amber Alert causes kidnappers to panic and kill the kid immediately. Cockroaches have been recorded eating human flesh, both living and dead, as well as fingernails, eyelashes, feet, and hands. The American cockroach and German cockroach are more likely to bite humans than other species. Pretty sure Australian cockroaches do something equally creepy, but as an Australian who plans to sleep at some point in the future, I'm not going to Google it. Okay Reddit guys, subscribe now, or I will leak your secrets.